Well, g'day fishers. Welcome back to our weekly fishing report. It is a Friday, which means it's fishing report day. And this week, if you manage to avoid the weather or gain the upper hand on the weather, you probably caught a few fish. But this weekend, guess what? Westerly winds again. Next week, it's sick day week. So if you're keen next week, from Tuesday onwards, the weather report at this stage, and I must admit at this stage, looks glamour. So again, work all weekend, fish during the week, sounds good to me. But anyway, so what's happening this week? Well, firstly, we'll begin with our kids fishing competition. Now, it is absolutely exploded. We've had in excess, I think, of 80 kids in our fishing tournament. So fantastic. You can still sign up. If you're under 16 and you want to bring a parent or guardian in, you can still sign up because it still runs for another week, or a bit over a week actually. We're running it all the way to the end of the school holidays. So a quick update. So what's been happening? So results so far are there are 2 bream at 37 centimetres. There are a few salmon, the biggest of which is 55 centimetres, and at this point in time, a tailor of 47 centimetres. So still plenty of time to send those photos in of those tailor, bream and salmon. So on our brag mats, or our brag stickers I should say, and plenty of time to still get out there and have a crack, that's for sure. I know a few mums and dads have been in and said they're very appreciative of our fishing competition, not seeing the kids all day. So there you go. Run it every school holidays. I'm partial to a few bribes if you like. Anyway, so good news on the kids fishing competition, plenty of fish being sent in, measured and released at this stage, and some absolute beauties. Those bream, 37 centimetres, absolute crackers. So we'll move on to what's happening inside the bay. Bit blustery this week, although there were a couple of days you could get out, a little bit of rain. That didn't stop a few people, and the fishing has been good. Lots of bream around now. They've started to really congregate around both the Rockwalls, the Anchorage and Nelson Bay. Got to fish those incoming tides, or what we've found this week, the last 2 hours at the bottom of the tide, because they are bigger tides with that full moon earlier in the week. Bait's probably been the key to it this week, if you're keen on doing that, and fishing really, really light leaders, 6 pound a litre. I know I spoke to Pete. He said that incoming tide fished really well. He got a few really nice fish, including 142 centimetres. So there are some really, really good bream around, hanging around those rock walls. Also spoke to a few guys that fished over the other side of the bay, up around the shortcut there. Some really nice fish getting along that shortcut wall, the entrance to the Mole River. Also, there's plenty of ludrick over there. So the wall there that runs what we call in front of the car park there over on Jimmy's, there's been plenty of ludrick over there. So if you want to go for a drive, you'll get a few ludrick along that wall as well. You'll get out of the westerly a little bit there too. So some good fishing in the bay. Like I said, this weekend's going to be a little bit hard with those westerlies picking up all weekend. So you probably want to hide out of it in some of those rock walls. Wanda Headland's been fishing pretty well. I know some of the kids have been catching some good tailor off there. You will get bream there as well. You get the odd flatty there this time of year as well. The jetty out behind Bannisters at Soldiers Point, there's a good one in a westerly, especially to take the kids as well. So that's it for the bay. At the moment, those westerlies are going to sort of hinder it a little bit over the weekend, I believe. So there we go. Now, beaches and rocks. Plenty of bream caught this week on the beaches. Lots of bream, actually. So if you're keen on doing that, there's been plenty of bream on the beaches. Tides, again, they're midday high tides, but with the westerly, you'll be able to fish the beaches this weekend. I know there was some cracking bream caught up towards the spit there at Fingal. They're only right in the shallows there on that high tide. All those bigger tides are making the difference, I think, but definitely worth a shot for bream up there. Salmon and tailor back down towards the surf club there. If you just go to the left as you're looking at the beach there from the surf club, there's a couple little gutters there. There's been plenty of salmon and tailor in there as well. Samurai's been fishing particularly well. I know Gary caught a really nice mulloway there last week, so if you're keen, get down to Samurai, fishing pretty well. Same to Middle Rock as well. Some little gutters forming up either side there if you're keen on the beach. Berubie's going to be a little bit harder, I think, in that westerly. If you get down the beach a little bit, you'll have to go for a bit of a drive. You will get out of it a bit, but talking to some fellas that fish down there during the week, lots of bream down there. Schools of salmon starting to turn up, so if you're keen on throwing lures into the washes there, into the gutters, you will spin up some really nice salmon. And there still has been those big tailor after dark, although the tides haven't been the best. There have been some cracking tailor after dark. As I mentioned last week, I know Shane caught them up to 2.5 kilos, so definitely worth a shot there. Now on the rocks, well, keeps going and going and going this longtail season. Reports this week of a few longtails caught off Tomaree, but a couple of sharks as well. So the longtail season keeps going. I think it's because we didn't have those that flooding that we had last year. The bait's held up. The water's still around 19.5 degrees, which is pretty good for winter. Normally it drops down to about 17 at this time of year. So I think that's just holding the water in there and the bait as well. That's why the tuna is still feeding there. So if you're keen on doing it, wouldn't say there's heaps there, but a couple of lads are getting on live baits. A few bonito still around, funnily enough as well. I know a couple of guys that spun off Barry Park there, fishing for tailor and salmon, got a couple of bonito. So bigger models this time of year. So if you're keen for a spin, this weekend will be the go off the rocks there. You can launch a lure a mile in that westerly, that's for sure. A couple of reds around off the rocks as well. So some nice snapper being caught. But particularly that low light periods are going to be the go, I think, because I think the swell's going to knock off a little bit. So less swell, you've got to fish that just on dark, or if you can get up, go for a walk, get there before sunrise. That first hour as that sun comes up is usually going to be pretty good for the reds at this time of year. Lots of bream, lots of drummer in the washes, and plenty of ludrick as well. So Rocky would be a good spot to go this weekend, although it cops a little bit of westerly, you can hide out of it to the north there as well. And also obviously that northern track into Boat Harbour will be pretty good off the rocks this weekend, I think, that's for sure. Now on the offshore scene, plenty of reports this week of really, really good snapper being around during the week, and especially in the shallows. Dan messaged me last night and got some crackers, got stitched up a couple of times on some really, really nice reds. So on the plastics, which is good to see, and it's that time of year where they should be there. Also said had a little mako swimming around the boat right in against Broughton there. So that time of year where the little makos do get in, especially out in 40, 50 fathoms there, we get numbers of those juvenile makos, which are good fun and actually good tucker, believe it or not. So keen on doing that. So some good snap around. Seal Rocks again fired up during the week. Some good reds caught up there. Bruce with a 9 kilo fish caught up that way. So an absolute cracker on the plastics. Brad on Pacific Blue charters. Did a couple of charters during the week. Got some nice reds in that 30 to 45 metre mark. So not big fish, 2 kilos, but plenty of them, he said. So good to see the snapper on the tube. Some tailor, some really nice tailor around the washes at Little Island there. Some guys went trolling with some deeper divers there. Got some really nice tailor, kilo and a half. A couple of rat kings, plenty of rat kings there as well. And a couple of bonito. So if you're keen on doing that, bit of a troll. I think this weekend's going to be a bit tough though with those westerlies, that's for sure. In the washes, plenty of bream around in the washes there and a few drummer. Keen on throwing a big endeavour prawn into the washes as well. Now, looking at Reef Charts again this morning, got a really clear picture of Reef Charts. There is an amazing temperature break, a zero line, and it runs from about 32.50 up to about 32.55. I should say down to 32.55. Some really, really good water there. There's actually a cracking temperature break. I think it's about 19.7 on the shelf. As you get over to about 500 to 600 metres on the chart there, goes down to about 19 degrees. So there's a 0.7 of a temperature break. Doesn't sound like much, but for tuna fishing, it is bang on. And the current pushing back in towards the west. So if I was making a prediction, I'd definitely run out to that 32.50 line, run to the east, 500 metres, put the lures in and run to the south there. Hopefully that still holds after these couple of days of westerly. I can't see it changing too much, but it does look crack on. Plenty of tuna being caught to the south of us down off Sydney, but that particular water out the front here, if I was going to say there was tuna, it's going to be right there. I know there's been bluefin, southern bluefin caught to the south of Sydney there. If this water is anything to go by, I don't think it'll be bluefin, it'll definitely be yellowfin, and I definitely think there'll be albacore in it as well. So if I was a betting man, definitely worth a run out there next week when we get some really, really good weather, I should say. And we've stocked up plenty of Pro Fidjis, rigged, ready to rock, plenty of bullets, and we've got some really cool tuna teasers just landed as well. So that's it for this week, this Friday. I'll probably have a little slightly later report next week. Just got something on, but there you go. But enjoy your weekend, enjoy your fishing, and we'll speak next Friday.